A dash of mystery, a sparkle of magic, and all things cozy. Join your host, Elle Hartford, for Cozy Alchemy, a proud member of the Authors on the Air network. Hello and welcome to Cozy Alchemy, the podcast all about cozy, spirited books. I'm Elle, and my guest today is Jess Kidd, author of Murder at the Spirit Lounge, which we will talk about in just a minute. But first, Jess is going to start us off with a game of two truths and a lie.
Okay, well, here we go. I've got two truths and a lie here, and hopefully Duffy will stay quiet all the way through.
Oh, I know, he's so adorable.
He can make a lot of noise for a very small dog. Okay, so my two truths and a lie is my mother sees ghosts is the first one, and the second one is when I was a child, I wanted to grow up to become a nun and grow vegetables for the convent. And the third one, you might see a theme here. They're all kind of nodding. So they're all misreading. And the third one is I have an offshore skipper qualification, which allows me to sail around the Kent coast, where I set the book. So
Nice. Ooh, yeah, I do enjoy a theme. Yeah, it's good. You're on point. It's very good. Oh, wow. Okay, and these are good ones too. Seeing ghosts, being a nun. I am going to guess that the third one is the lie.
yes, it is. Well done.
Hey, nice.
I'm very good at cooking. I'm making really guilty. But my late father did actually have an offshore skipper certification. So so it's kind of like almost the truth.
Yeah, those are the best ones. Those are the best ones. I had it just sounded like it sounded intimidating to me, so I was like but that means that as a kid you dreamed of being a nun and growing vegetables. That's adorable.
I did. I was a fairly strange child. I came from a very, very big, wild London Irish family, and the idea of living in a monastery really appealed to me because of the quiet.
Yeah.
Regular meal times and a uniform. I thought this would be marvelous. So, and I was brought up I went to a Catholic school as a child, and so I was kind of brought up around that kind of thing. But I was also kind of very heavily inspired by the kind of Hollywood backlit nuns. So I think I just thought, oh, I'll grow up to be sort of glamorous while growing vegetables for the convent.
Wow, yeah.
There we are. So yes, that one is true.
Nice. Do you grow vegetables now? I mean, you're clearly not a nun.
I don't always have time. I have done at different points in my life, and I'm sure I will again, actually.
Fair. Yeah, that's it's kind of aspirational, right? I always think that I will have a nice garden, but it does fall down to the end of the list. And it means too that your mother sees ghosts or saw ghosts. Yeah. What was that like?
It's I mean, I think again going back to my upbringing, having the Irish connection, there's a kind of an interesting take on the afterlife and on the supernatural. In my family especially, it's very much kind of every day. So, so the dead would appear with messages that were, quite mundane things like, "Can you sort out the rats in the barn?" and which "Would you give this man my trousers after I've died?" So there were no kind of supernatural wisdoms or revelations. It was all very kind of run-of-the-mill stuff. But yes, my mother is one of those people who can tell you who's about to call as soon as the phone rings, and so she used to regale me with stories of the various people who used to drift in and out of the house we lived in. So I think that's probably a lot of that informed, especially my early writing when I used to use the supernatural, and I kind of started writing in a magical realist way. But a lot of that came from my family.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And I have it on my list to ask you about that in a bit. But we'll go in order. So we're starting out. We're here because your book, Murder at the Spirit Lounge, is going to come out, I think, the week after this airs. Can you tell us a little bit about it, just to get us started?
Yeah, certainly. So it's the second book in the Nora Breen Investigates series. So for readers who haven't come across the first book, the setup really and all the references to the nuns will become clear now.
Yeah.
So the setup is, it starts off following the fortunes of Nora Breen, who leaves a Carmelite monastery after 3 decades of effectively dying to the world. She's taken a vow of chastity and poverty. And it's a mystery in the first book. A mystery propels her back into the world. And this is set in the early 1950s in the UK. So she goes in search of her favourite novice who has left the order and disappeared in the seaside town of Gorensea on the Kent coast. And so in the second book, we meet Nora again for a new mystery, which unravels when a famous medium comes to town called Doreen Chimes. And everyone is just really beguiled by this idea of receiving messages from the dead. So unfortunately, at Doreen's seance, it goes disastrously wrong, and the medium dies under very strange circumstances, which sort of opens up a supernatural can of worms. And so Nora must now investigate the idea of a supernatural serial killer.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is, I love this setup. This is so much fun. And we've had, of course, on the show before, we've had like paranormal investigations and like mysteries with sort of a paranormal element, but not so much like the paranormal murder, like it might have been a supernatural murderer.
Yeah.
So what was your inspiration? Obviously, growing up partly comes into it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also kind of really in terms of the time period I'm writing. So in the early 1950s, there was a real interest in the supernatural, in mediumship, and there was a real move. It started off like in Victorian times with the idea of parlour games and seances and so forth. But in the early 1950s, there was huge popularity, and I think it was in the aftermath of the Second World War, where people were really kind of dealing with that trauma and loss and asking questions, and they kind of wanted to contact their loved ones. So it was really sort of partly inspired by the time itself and what people were going through, but also I just adore the idea of a setup where you have a group of people and there's 6 in the seance, including the medium, and what each of those people are there for. Who do they want to contact? What are the messages coming forward? And I mean, obviously, sometimes in the mystery genre, the supernatural gets debunked, and I won't say either way in this because I don't want to give any spoilers, but it was also playing with that idea as to, is this a ghost or is this human agency? And also kind of Nora's background, because she is very skeptical. She's left the order, to really solve this mystery, but she's also kind of, well, she would say she's currently divorced from God. so she's it's radio silence there. So she's kind of like really questioning a lot of things in her own life, I think, which makes her quite a very objective when it comes to this supernatural killer.
Yeah, it's a really interesting perspective for her to be approaching from, right, doing the investigation.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I had that in my notes too, to ask you about the fact that like with the medium being the first victim, because we do, like, we're familiar, with the plot lines where the medium is maybe not a murderer, but a scammer or a con artist, or, there's something else going on. So did you have any, like, historical figures that were your inspiration for your medium?
Not really. I mean, with this, I mean, I've written all different historical time periods, even going back to like 1629. But one of the joys of this time period is that there's lots of photographs that I could use, so I get a lot of inspiration from visual things. So I was looking at pictures of mediums and kind of the setup really. And I think, as you say, I kind of wanted to subvert that on the outset. Like the medium can't be responsible.
Yeah.
Maybe she can.
Right, right.
If she's dead.
We're just not excluding anything, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always, all the time, kind of like, this is where this genre is so much fun because you kind of have the expectations and it's so much fun to subvert them really and to kind of I don't know, like sleight of hand really. So I'm always kind of be
Yeah.
as tricksy as possible with the reader because I like that myself.
Thanks. Now, because you mentioned the photographs, what was it that made you decide to set the series really in the 1950s?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it was really, this is the first series that I've written. Prior to this, all of my fiction has been standalone. And so I was really looking for a time, a place, and a character, protagonist that I could return to time and time again. So I think it was all in that kind of mix, really. But certainly the time for me felt really interesting because there's an air of nostalgia. But I mean, obviously, this is the character's kind of present time, but I think it was this kind of time of real extremes. So you have almost kind of like an innocence of the British seaside holiday, the candy
Yeah.
floss and the donkey rides and all of that. But there was a real gritty undercurrent, which again was the kind of in the shadow of the Second World War. So there was a lots of
Yeah.
people trying to rebuild their lives and start a new life. And I love the idea of a seaside setting for that reason. It feels like a place outside the normal rules and conventions where people could have a certain level of freedom. So, and I was really drawn to this idea, which I kept going back to, and I keep going back to a flotsam and jetsam, like the people that would wash up in this town and why they would be there and what would be their backstory. So for me, it felt like a very rich, a very kind of poignant and really evocative time period. And I mean, it's been terrific fun to kind of write that austerity as well, the kind of grittiness of the everyday life, and the terrible food, especially.
Yes, yes, exactly. But no, so this is good because it sounds like you were really intentional that you wanted to write a series and that this was going to be a series.
Absolutely. So I was totally intentional about that, but also in terms of the protagonist being an older woman character as well. That was really important to me because I really wanted to kind of play with the idea of kind of Miss Marple. She's not quite as Miss Marple nor as middle age, but really kind of having that idea of subverting expectations. And so I suppose really I was kind of quite inspired by that one. But yes, it was an interesting thing and being able to kind of plot out not only each of the different mysteries, but also the trajectory of the characters. So that's kind of been the first time I've had the complete joy of actually being able to revisit a place in time.
Yeah, yeah, cool. And now I don't want to, if you can't say, then that's all right. But how many books do you have planned? Like, do you have a long arc? Are we in for,
Very,
Miss Mark?
very long.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're going down this way. I think I feel like going that way. Yes. So originally I planned about 8 books, but
Nice.
since I've been writing them, another couple have become apparent. So and I think that really is testimony to the protagonist, who is a very kind of rich a very layered person. She's had kind of quite a life before she went into the monastery, and she's sort of rediscovering herself now. So she's a really interesting character to write. But also I think that, again, going back to that time and place, it feels like there are so many different subjects to take in, and it's a time where the kind of old order is changing as well, and things are shifting. So it's kind of quite interesting. And I have been on the road with Nora, the first book in the series, and people were saying, "Are you going to write her all the way up to the swinging 60s? And what's she what's she going to be like then? You know, this former nun." And I was like, "Well, wait and see."
Yeah.
I love her so much, I could write her forever.
Uh, that's wonderful. That's such a lovely feeling.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
absolutely.
That's so cool. Now, I'm just pivoting slightly, but so why? Because you have other books that are all standalones, right? What prompted you to make this switch?
I think really, I mean, I do have a sort of slight background in sort of crime and mystery. I mean, I've always had like a mystery element in each of my standalone fiction, and a lot of that has been historical fiction too. But I originally did a PhD, and part of my doctorate was looking at crime fiction. So I've always had
Cool.
crime fiction and magical realism combined, which I tested out some theories with my first book. So that kind of fed,
Ah,
fed into that. So it's been a very long-term interest with me, and I think again it was getting to that. Getting to finding that kind of mix that I felt would really sustain that longer trajectory. And I think also previously, I've written a book and then kind of finished it and felt like that kind of sad feeling of leaving my
ah,
characters
yeah.
and thinking, oh, I'd like to, I mean, there are a couple I'd like to revisit, but so really this was kind of allow me to do that, really.
I see. Well, and that makes sense now because it is sounding like you're very intentional, like very much a planner and a plotter. And that makes sense if you're coming from an academic background of it all. Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to kind of let that inform it too much, because otherwise I feel like, oh, it could get like quite dry. Not that all academic stuff is dry, but I think it's again going back to that kind of idea. I love the rules of kind of the detective genre or the crime genre,
Mm,
because, and also the kind of the readership is really interesting, because readers are really passionate about the series that they like or the protagonists that they like, and
right.
it feels like just a very interesting exchange, really. And I kind of love that when I go out and hear people and they're like, I solved it. No, I didn't solve it. Why didn't you solve it? Who did you think it was?
Yeah.
So each one, I feel like I'm in practice. I know the theory, but in practice, I feel like I'm learning so much about the genre by writing them.
Nice. That's so much fun. And you're right, there is such a community among in the mystery genre amongst mystery authors and readers and both. It's fascinating for a genre that is based on killing people, right?
Yeah, it's not that cozy at all, really.
But yeah. But now, can I ask, like, what was your PhD in? Like, what was that?
Yeah, so the PhD was to look at kind of splicing together. It was about cross-genre work, really, because that was kind of my original interest in kind of pushing the boundaries of each of the genres that I was writing in. So I was writing a lot of magical realist fiction at the time, and I was just fascinated by taking these very disparate kind of rules. So magical realism, we don't we don't really question the voice, we don't really question the supernatural. Again, like say if we use that as an example, it's kind of taken as a given, whereas in
Right.
detective or mystery fiction we're always debunking everything. So it felt like they were profoundly different, but then by splicing them together, what could I achieve and how could I play with those kind of tensions? So the first book started off being a kind of combination of the two, where we have a dead cast of characters and a mystery to be solved, and the two were quite tricky to accommodate. I mean, that was quite difficult, but we got there in the end. So.
That's so much fun. I love this, the whole idea of blending genres and how things fit into each other or play off of each other. I selfishly, I write cozy mystery with a fairy tale twist is my
Yeah.
tagline. So like I spend a lot of time in this space blending these two. Um, and it is endlessly fascinating, I think, the ways that everything that we think is very different and opposite is actually very complementary.
It's interesting, isn't it? And I think it gives another texture. I don't know whether you find another kind of layer to the world. And I think also, I mean, especially mystery or crime or detective is a very stretchy kind of genre, and it can really
Mm.
accommodate.
Mm-hmm.
But it also it's interesting because I don't know whether you find this, but it kind of almost provides a bit of a roadmap from which you can then kind of deviate.
Yeah,
I quite
yeah.
like it from that point of view. That it feels like a set of useful instructions that you can then just throw out of the window at some point.
Yes. Yeah. A bunch of rules that you can learn so that you can then break them.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a lovely way of putting it.
Definitely. That's so cool. Okay, so normally I always ask guests, like, what's next for you? And it sounds like Nora.
Yes. So Nora's next, but I've got two books out this year actually. I've also got a Gothic Victorian historical fiction, which does have a tiny bit of a well, it has a mystery but tiny bit of crime element, and that's called Little Spark. So that kind of plays to the side of me that likes writing historical fiction as well. I mean, I know Nora is historical, but so they're two quite different worlds. So that one looks at weird Victorian science and automata, early robots, and the Victorian propensity to electrocute themselves for health. So,
Yeah.
it's all very strange world, but I was it's also a very different protagonist. So Bodkin Bell is in her early 20s and she's neurodivergent at a time when there wasn't a word for to
Right.
describe neurodivergence. So that was a very interesting kind of call for me was to write. I had previously written neurodivergent characters, but to place one in historical fiction was kind of interesting, really. So,
Yeah.
so that's it. So yeah, so I think I'll probably continue on that vein. I'm currently also writing the third in the Nora Breen series, which is called A Pot Full of Poison, and
Nice.
having tremendous fun with that. I was just killing someone off before I came online. Not personally. Don't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
joking.
yeah. Of course. Of course.
So, so yes, hopefully, yes. I mean, there'll always be that kind of juxtaposition of the two different kind of areas of interest, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, and that brings up another question I should have asked earlier when you mentioned all these different time periods that you've written in. Do you find it difficult to switch between them? You must enjoy the research process, I'm guessing.
Oh, yes, I think I'm a frustrated historian. I really enjoy I mean, I tend to go kind of like probably a little bit extreme into the into the research element. A lot of my kind of special interests find their way into into the books. Automators
Nice.
certainly in the 1950s now, but yeah, I mean, I really do, and a lot of my friends also bring me ideas. I live in a very small village in North Yorkshire, and people know what I do for a living, and they come up to me and say, "Oh, I've got a great death for you. I've got a great murder for you." So I sort of can't get away from it, and which I love. So yes, I love the research element, and I also enjoy particularly the challenge of going to a new era. Victorian's quite familiar for me now because this will be the second book. Little Spot will be the second book I've written. Prior to that, I wrote Things in Jars, which was set in Victorian London. So it's interesting. I mean, I haven't kind of gone forward into the future very much, so that might be.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it's a little rosier than sometimes we feel like it might be.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Now, okay, I have a question that I ask everybody. And this is maybe going back into the past again a little bit. What advice would you give to yourself if you could go back and talk to yourself when you were just starting out, maybe just starting out writing or publishing, either one? What would you say?
That's really interesting, because I think sometimes the writer you are when you start off isn't necessarily the same as the writer you are as you carry on. I would probably say don't worry as much, but then I would also conversely say it doesn't get much easier. It's just when you think you've got the formula, I know how to write a novel now, I've written quite a few now, and then you just think, okay, it's like starting from scratch every time. So I would also say perhaps to write things down more, because I've got a very poor memory, and I think I got into kind of, I've always kept like a writer's notebook, but that's when I started off teaching creative writing, because for in adult education undergraduate, and one of the things that I would always kind of encourage people is just to take notes, and whether on the phone or preferably in a notebook, and just when you have ideas, or if you overhear conversations, or
Yeah.
when you're out and about, because then they're like
When people come up to you.
come up to you with this story. And so I would say to, probably my younger self, write all those ideas down before you forget them. So
That's fair. That's fair. So I get what you're saying though, with the original statement too of it is hard, but you can do it, right? You don't have to worry so much about it. Yeah.
feel so, and I think sometimes it can feel. I started off with a lot of short stories because I was a single mother and with my daughter, and really I only had time to complete stories, not a novel when she was small. So I spent. I wanted to polish something and finish something, so I did a lot of short stories, and that was a really good way in as well for me because it kind of helped me hone my voice a bit, and then always those kind of ideas that you can just a little bit at a time as well, because otherwise I think a lot of people starting out writing can feel quite overwhelmed, like how do I write this wonderful novel? But when you break it down, it's just a series of little steps, so that's what I remind myself on a daily basis. I also have another thing that really works for me which might not appeal to everyone, is that I try and write something every day and try and make it as kind of every day as brushing my teeth, and so that kind of helps with the performance anxiety, I think.
Fair, yeah. If it becomes routine, I can see that. Yeah.
And nothing special.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I like that. Okay, now we will get to our final question in just a minute. But first, obviously, I will have like your bio and your website, things like that in the show notes. But is there any way in particular that you'd like people to find you online?
Oh, sure. My dogs are just currently fighting. Sorry about that.
It was bound to happen.
They were really good the whole time. And now I'm just looking at them out the corner of my eye. I'm really happy to contact for people to contact me on Instagram. So it's Jess Kidd herself, and you can DM me, and I'm always really happy to answer questions and get in touch with readers. Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. Okay. The dogs are like, it's been long enough, which is fair. So we will wrap up. What is one win that you've had in the past week? It could be anything.
Ooh, what is one win? I think one of the wins that I've had in the past week would be go. This sounds incredibly geeky, and I do apologize for it, but I
Oh,
keep I keep index cards. Here we are. And so one of the things I do from taking my notes out of my little notebooks and so forth is I like to put things in index cards and then go back to them, and I like odd juxtapositions. So I have a section for weird history, I have a section for like
yes.
sort of supernatural murders, that kind of thing. I organise them and actually put them into proper order. So
Love
so
that.
that was a definite win. And I came up with a few short story ideas. So I would say that so that was a good win. I mean, the other win that came to mind was one of my dogs has just had some teeth out, sadly. So
Oh.
he's had the cone of shame or for the past couple of weeks. So he's just lost his comb. So that's another win.
That is good. That's good.
So two wins.
It's good. I'm glad. Yeah, everyone can have a good week. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jess, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Elle.
Yeah, absolutely. And for listeners, like I said, I will have all that info in the show notes, so check that out. And I will talk to you next time. Cozy Alchemy is brought to you by Authors on the Air, and our theme music is by Cyberwave Orchestra. For everything else, blame Elle. You can find her online at ellehartford.com.